It's time to refresh your yard during spring backyard days at the Home Depot. Get low prices guaranteed on propane grills starting at $179, like the Next Grill 3-burner gas grill. Or get $50 off a select Weber Spirit Grill and bring big flavor to your backyard. Then set the scene with Hampton Bay string lights that bring it all together. Shop spring backyard days for 7 days at the Home Depot, now through May 6th. Exclusions apply. See homedepot.com/price match for details.
Membership means more with American Express Business Gold. Earn 4 times membership rewards points in your top 2 eligible spending categories every month, including eligible U.S. advertising purchases and select media, and U.S. purchases at restaurants, including takeout and delivery. What are you waiting for? Get the card that flexes with your spending every month. Terms and points cap apply. Learn more at americanexpress.com/business-gold. Amex Business Gold Card. Built for business by American Express.
This episode is brought to you by State Farm. You know those friends who support your preference for podcasts over music on road trips? That's the energy State Farm brings to insurance. With over 19,000 local agents, they help you find the coverage that fits your needs, so you can spend less time worrying about insurance and more time enjoying the ride. Download the State Farm app or go online at statefarm.com. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Now streaming. Disney Plus invites you to go behind the scenes with Taylor Swift in an exclusive 6-episode docuseries.
I wanted to give something to the fans that they didn't expect.
The only thing left is to close the book.
The end of an era. And don't miss Taylor Swift, The Eras Tour, the final show, featuring for the first time the Tortured Poets Department. Now streaming, only on Disney Plus.
Hey there, everybody. It's Dave from Vikings First and Skull, and it's Wednesday, and that means it's time for the NFC North Roundup Show, Who Will Be King? And we're days out from rookie minicamps, at least for 3 of the 4 teams, and the division is a circus already, as we know. Bears are fighting with City Hall over the stadium. Once again, it's not just even Arlington Heights or Hammond, Indiana. It's Chicago. Lions got handed the easiest schedule in the NFC North. Of course they did. That's what happens when you finish last. The Vikings are still hunting a new general manager. And the Packers signed an old guy that they're making grandpa memes of. Tyrod Taylor. Who in the division is actually building to be a contender? We'll find out next on Who Will Be King. Here we are, another day, another dollar, another progress towards our team's fates, especially in 2026. Who will win the division? Who will win the Super Bowl? Questions on every fan's mind. And how quickly will Green Bay secure last place in the NFC North? I wish to welcome the 2 gentlemen that always join me. We have Pay from the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fans channel and Foster from Bleachers to Speakers. Pay, how's everything in Chicago?
Ornery, Dave. Ornery. After you said that in your pre-game lead-up about City Hall, listen, I support Brandon Johnson, the mayor of Chicago, as much as the next man. But, bro, wrap it up. There's no reason for you to be in Springfield right now. It's you got bigger things to be doing in Chicago.
Well, he's also, I read, where they're complaining they still need $650 million just to upgrade the area around Soldier Field so that they can handle traffic for concerts and stuff.
Yeah, ingress and egress is always going to be a thing, and especially over there, because that's a different type of political fight, because that area is publicly owned by the Park District, Friends of the Park. I believe that's the term, well, the name of their organization. But in any case, get out of Bears business, bro. I'm just saying it like that. The Bears in Chicago are going for a divorce. And they're just going to be named Chicago from this point on, as far as the media market. But the Bears are leaving the city limits. You just got to have to deal with that. Now, I understand from a political stance, he wants to at least put up the fight so people remember so people will assume or at least align the blame with state lawmakers and not him, which is true. He would prefer the Bears to stay. He don't have the money. He has to get it from Springfield. But listen, get out of Springfield. You don't need to be down there right now. You're wasting time. Get off these people's docket. They need to be talking about keeping the Bears in Arlington Heights.
Versus Hammond, Indiana. Now, I'm reading where it's going to be a few weeks before the Bears decide, but the NFL is pushing them pretty hard.
Mm-hmm. The NFL is just going to, they're going to ring their bells because, again, like I said a few weeks back, these owners, they're all taking their notes, taking their cues about what Chicago or what Illinois is going to give, what kind of money, and then they're going to say, okay, let's write that number down. Next team up, go get a number higher than this number, and then that's just how they keep it moving. So yeah, they're counting pennies and chiclets and dollars and dimes more than I can count. Yeah, that's why they're rushing. They want to get more money for their next yacht. Stadium.
Well, we did see that the Browns broke ground on their new stadium this last week.
That's a shame. That's a shame. The Cleveland Browns, the mistake by the lake, the worst team in the NFL in the last 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
They came up for a stadium the same time the Bears did, and the Bears have not broken ground yet. The Browns have. That's not a good omen.
Heck, the Bills go into their new stadium, I believe, this season.
Yeah, they do.
So it's all about the new bling. You want all the room for the people to walk and watch the game, and so you can charge them 3 times as much. So, but
that capitalism.
Hey, it is what it is. It generates money for the city. So they can't complain too much, I wouldn't think. Foster, how are things in Detroit?
Well, weather's gloomy, but, the scene is hot with the playoff buzz of the Detroit Pistons, who are up 1-0 in the second round of the playoffs against Cleveland. Speaking of Cleveland, and, Lions related, St. Brown's been in the building, Goff, Gibbs, they can inject that in their veins and bring that back to Ford Field because we need some more of that. They fell a little short this year, as you guys know.
I got another way you can bring it back to football. Loser of this series has to announce themselves as having the worst football team in NFL history. As you recall, 2008 Lions did the same thing as the 2017 Cleveland Browns. Loser of this series, you hold the mantle. Biggest L.
Wait, 2017 Browns. 17 Browns, I'm tripping. So with the loser of the Cavs series has to announce that they're the worst football team, that seems all over the place, man.
If you recall, only 2 teams in NFL history have done this thing that the Browns and Lions have done. Dave, you wanna help them out?
Go winless in the season?
There you go.
I thought when you said 17, I thought you were referencing something in the future. I'm like, that they about to lose all of them?
They did lose all of them in
17. They did.
In 2017, yes. In 2017, and it was a 2008 Lions. 2-16 teams. Whoever loses this playoff series, guess what? You're the worse than me.
I like to live in the now. That's old. What was I doing in 2008?
Toddling wins. You're not that young.
That's first year of college.
So you were chasing skirts.
I guess you were counting
college. Trust me.
Chasing my drinks.
All right. From that, let's talk about your Lions. Everybody's got a rookie mini camp coming up this weekend, for the most part. The Packers, the Bears, the Vikings. And yet, Foster, for some reason, your management chose not to have a rookie mini camp this year. Can you explain why?
Yeah, so this is just a part of a lot of retooling and Brad Holmes changing things around. He wants to prioritize some things and just be a little bit more efficient in the time. This is kind of an extension of the not having the pro day as well. That was kind of a part of that thought process. But they do have a rookie like development event that starts on May 11th. So he's just kind of moved things around and really think that missing the playoffs last year was an eye-opening experience for Brad Holmes. And I think that he wants to try to reinvent the wheel a little bit because that was a setback for us to not make the postseason. So not to be worried, the rookies will be in on May 11th for a development program. Just doing things a little bit different, trying to be more efficient.
Interesting. We got a local podcast that focuses on O-linemen called the O-line committee. And those guys talked about how when they were rookies, they had to go in there and they had to fight and literally fight for their spots. The coaches wanted them to go all out. And they did. And that's the way they were brought up, is to go all out. Now it changed. They had a big shocker when the vets came in, and the vets are like, "Don't touch me. I'll kill you if you touch me. Don't." And the whole rules changed when the vets were there. Nobody goes to the ground and all that sort of stuff.
So
the coaches wanted to see the rookies go at it to see who had the motivation to play it.
So rookie minicamp with Spike Club?
Basically. And we're talking 20 years ago-ish.
And you said this was a podcast about offensive linemen.
Yes.
That is a very, in a world that's saturated with podcasts, that's the most unique podcast I've heard of.
It's the most Dave podcast.
Oh, it is.
I mean, if there was ever one that he would find.
Almost always. There's a few online podcasts I listen to, but that's the most entertaining. But yeah, and there's something to it. They talk about, if you look at teams and their records, how did they start out? Did they start out, 0-4, 1-3 before they picked up, or did they start out winning straight from the get-go? And then they correlate that with, well, are the coaches putting the starters in bubble wrap and only playing them for 15 plays like Kevin O'Connell did with J.J. McCarthy last preseason? Or are they getting them involved in all the games to get that, what do you call it, pay? Scabbed up?
You got to build up a callus.
The callus, yes, that's it. Build up the callus.
Scabbed up.
Well, you're going to do that.
Similar.
Chris is letting me know it's Alex Boone and Jeremiah Searles are the two former Vikings that are on the O-line committee. And they also played for other teams as well. I want to welcome everybody who's in the chat. They look to be my folks, and you are always welcome here, as you all know, and I appreciate you being here. Now, and I was wondering that last year too, is the whole McVay, Shanahan, throw them in bubble wrap thing a detriment to the quality of play we get, especially in the beginning of the season, but how it works out throughout the season? Or do we go back like it's cyclical to a more physical style of play once we get to training camp and such? And will that benefit the play? We're starting to go bigger and larger across the board. We're getting bigger linemen. We're getting bigger linebackers. We're getting bigger running backs for the most part. We are trying to beef up from when everybody shrank to deal with the speed demons on the outside of the pass rush, right? We went from Brian Urlacher to a linebacker that weighs 200. And this is a question that I wonder, because I've watched decades worth of football, if the cyclic nature is going to bring it back to where it's more tough, more building the calluses in the beginning, than the baby soft stuff. Now, it goes against what the NFL Players Association wants because they want it. They don't want anything. They want all the protections in the world. You guys got any thoughts on that?
I'm not opposed to
You're old enough to remember Urlacher.
Yeah, a bit of a glimpse of him back in the day. I'm not opposed to the more athletic version of the game now that you spoke of, more leaner and meaner guys out there. I guess you have. I mean, if you put it all into context, you have the brain injuries and all that type of scariness and billions of dollars being forked around. You kind of lean into that evolution, I guess. So while I'm not against it, I do think the better product was when the guys were a little, I guess, bigger. Pause. I don't know if there's a happy medium there, Dave. I don't know if you can find one, but you definitely do need the extra added weight if you're going to want to stave off some of these body injuries. Maybe come into camp, or maybe not camp because that's going to that's just too much. It maybe come into OTAs, and as we're at that part of the offseason program, you have multiple OTAs kicking off in the next 45 days. Maybe you come in a little bit more heavy. Maybe you come in, when you do start putting on pads, you do start touching each other a little bit, pause, and you start getting a feel for it. And then as you get closer to the season, as you get into camp and everything like that, then you can start shutting down weight. As I'm saying this out loud, it does sound a bit too hectic. You're giving people a little bit too much to do during the summer. Maybe not, but it's fun to think about.
Hey, I can tell you linemen lose weight over the season, always. Usually 20, 30 pounds they'll lose. And they're still eating their 15,000 calorie a day diets, and they still lose. And it's because the effort that goes into it over time makes you small. That's one of the problems with Garrett Bradbury. He was small to start off with when they drafted him, and he lost good 25 pounds over the season. Which, if you do that and you're going against somebody that weighs 330, 340, and you're only at 230, 240, you can get forklifted back easily, which was his problem.
Good thing we playing the shotgun a lot now.
Well, he's got better on how to defeat that. There's different ways as a lineman, to pass set and pass block, and he's gotten better over time. I'll give you that. Anyways, I thought it was an interesting topic. So now, like I said, we got mini camps coming up. We got a whole bunch of rookies and UDFAs that each team signed. Have you guys got any UDFA steals you wish to share?
Yeah, the one name that's jumped out to me as far as undrafted free agents is Anthony Lucas, who was of course, shocker, an edge rusher. But as you look at his scouting report, I mean, he's a guy that had durability issues for sure, but some pretty good measurables, and he was actually projected by some platforms to go in the 4th round. So for us to grab him as an undrafted free agent, obviously he's got some things that he needs to work on and some questions that he needs to answer. But he's definitely somebody that I got my eyes on. He's got a 7-foot wingspan. He's 6'6", but he's got a 7-foot wingspan. He didn't run a great 40 time, but he was a Shrine Bowl attendee, and he's showed improvement. The senior year was the one year that he actually was productive and actually wasn't healthy, which is part of the durability issues. But he showed improvement and increased his productivity as a senior, and it appears that he's trending up and ascending. He's still only 21 years old, and he's a guy that can play all over the line. He can set a good edge, and he's a pretty sure tackler. So yeah, he's the biggest name amongst the bunch that I got a chance to look at, and I'm keeping an eye on.
Hey, you guys got any UDFAs that you think are going to make the squad?
Absolutely not. He make the squad? No. There are some I'm keeping an eye on just for my own reasons, and I'm sure Bears fans will hear this name and know exactly what I'm talking about. Josh Kreutz. If that name sounds familiar to you, one of the greatest Bears of all times, Olin Kreutz. That's his daddy. He played his college ball at Illinois, so he's a local kid as well, obviously, because, his dad played for Chicago 4 seasons, I believe. Still does work for the radio stations here in Chicago. So Olin is a fan favorite, I believe. I think he's up for Hall of Fame consideration now. Yeah, I think his name is on the ballot. So one of the best Bears of all time. Do I think his son is going to make the squad? No. His son was invited to try out. He's not even a UDFA. But again, we like to see him come into the Hallis Hall and give it his all. It's more or less Olin is that's what it is. It's nepotism. I was gonna say something. I was gonna say something else. I was gonna say one hand helping the other. I was going to do the old thing there. But yeah, you're right. Let's just call it what it is. It's nepo baby. There are 2 UDFAs that I am keeping an eye on. My boy Squirrel White and my other boy, the Vanilla Gorilla. Only reason I'm keeping an eye on them is because I like their names. Squirrel White.
The other guy's name?
Squirrel.
But I thought the other, you said Vanilla Gorilla was.
Yeah, Vanilla. We got the Vanilla Gorilla. You got Squirrel White. Vanilla Gorilla. He's an offensive lineman. I think he's a guard. His name is Bennett something. Caden Bennett. But yeah, he was a rough and rumble guy from I forget one of the Plain states, not Dakota, Wyoming. He went to Wyoming. He gets signed. He's got a guaranteed UDFA contract. Squirrel White. He's a wide receiver. I forget what school he went to, but those guys. I like spunky football names. It's always something about that. I was like, I'm rooting for that guy just because I like his name. I cannot wait until an announcer has to call his name on Sunday. That's what I want to do.
My cornerback, but receiver cornerback. I just taking a ballpark guess of what position he played.
Squirrel or
Squirrel.
Yeah. Squirrel is definitely a cornerback name. As a wide receiver, not so much, but cornerback, absolutely.
And is Kreutz a center like his dad?
Yes, of course he is.
Okay.
Off the O block.
He could only be that, right? You guys drafted a center early, didn't you? Or don't you
second
got a
round
competition? Yeah, so he's cooked.
Yeah, Bradbury's cooked. Yeah. I think the Bears are pretty set at center now. As you said, we drafted one in the second round. We traded for in Bradbury. We still had the all utility man back there on the squad anyway. And now, we got the other tryout from Mr. Kreutz. I doubt Kreutz makes the squad, but I think the Bears are pretty much good on the line as far as bodies are concerned. Now, from a performance standpoint, we shall see starting week 1.
Interesting. I remember when Randy Moss's kid came to Minnesota for a tryout. He didn't make it. He eventually made it with, I think, the Ravens, but he wasn't his daddy.
He's trying to make his way, or he was trying to make his way.
You know what, Dave? You said something there. These kids are disappointing.
They don't have that same drive. They was born rich, man.
They do not have that dog in them like their daddy. You are right. You are right, Foster. They are not living up to the family name. Bronny, Randy Jr., Shador, Deion Jr., him too. Shall I go on? All these guys.
Jordan. Did you say Jordan?
Oh, he's an embarrassment.
Jordan's got a kid playing basketball?
Nah.
He ain't playing. Well, he's playing with the wrong basketball. These guys, we enjoy watching these guys in our youth. Like, man, they took us in at night. Like, man, I just watched a great performance of sports. I can't wait to wake up and watch some more great performance of sports. Tony Gwynn Jr. It's just all these guys. We want to pass that on to our kids. Like, hey, I grew up watching his dad play, and now look at him. He's killing too. Nope. Also ran.
Well, there's the Mannings. You had Arch, and then Peyton was better.
Yeah.
Two Super Bowls.
Arch is going back to school. That tells you how much, he's already.
And I'm not talking about Arch coming out in 27. I'm talking about old man Archie. When I was a kid playing for the Saints.
Exactly. This generation, not our generation and before that, we held it down. We made our daddies proud. This generation, bunch of gamers.
Watered down,
And that's probably the problem. They didn't drink enough. They didn't drink enough water out the water hose. All that filter water. Yeah, all that filter water and and nutrient makes them soft.
Now, the only real big news on Packerland is that they signed Tyrod Taylor. And they're getting grandpa memes made because they signed a 36-year-old quarterback. Didn't they used to have a 40-something-year-old quarterback?
That's true. They did.
What? You don't have to worry about grandpa memes for Rodgers, though.
No, because he's not playing football.
It's not where I was going with it, but okay. Now, but the Packers, we are discussing pregame show.
That is right. I just saw it on DraftKings. They have the odds up for Super Bowl winners, and they have the Packers as the number one team in the NFC North with the highest odds. I mean, I said that wrong. The highest odds of the NFC North teams are the Green Bay Packers. They are number 7 out throughout the entire league. I think it was plus 1,500 for them to win the Super Bowl, which is a joke.
I think so. How can you be that high when you lost the last 5 games in a row last year?
They haven't won a game in over 150 days.
Absolutely pathetic. Well, if they're the highest, who's second?
You have the Detroit Lions coming in second to represent to hoist the Lombardi there, plus 1,800, followed by the Bears and the Vikings. Bears plus 25, Vikings plus 5,000.
We're right.
According to DraftKings.
So I know we're sitting at like 8.5 for win totals, but we'll get to that. It's now time to take a break. And during the break, I want the folks to bring up their favorite Packers joke. We'll be right back. And we're back, and I want to thank everybody that stayed with us through that time. It gives us our little $2.20 so we can buy our whiskey and beer and Garrett's popcorn with. And whatever Foster drinks. Not quite sure what he drinks. What do you drink, Foster? You drink a manly drink or do you drink White Claw?
Nah, I mean, beer-wise, Blue Moon, Oberon, stuff like that. But well, you go to school in Kalamazoo, got to get the bells. But liquor-wise, tequila. I'm a tequila man. Strong.
Tis the season.
Yes, it is. That was yesterday, wasn't it? Cinco de Mayo? Yes, it was.
Yep.
So, all right. Foster, you wanted to grade us in our offseason. Since you wanted to, let's start off. Well, how do you grade the Lions since the end of the season last year?
I'm going to say B+. All things considered, free agency, draft. We cleaned up our biggest weakness, which was our offensive line. We went out and got a center. We got some depth on the outside as well. We drafted we took our first pick to go, draft a bookend opposite Penei Sewell. I mean, we were pretty active. We went out and got it. We replaced. We traded away David Montgomery, who wished to be gone, and we brought back Isaiah Pacheco. Yeah, Isaiah Pacheco to be the backup, which I think we got extremely good value. I mean, if he's got anything left, it seems like he's got some gas left in the tank. We got him for under $2 million, so I think that was some pretty good value. And we shored up the defensive backfield as well. So all things considered, I don't think that we didn't have any major splashes. We didn't make a crazy trade for draft picks for a big money guy. But I think that we certainly improved in the trenches It's just what really hurt us last year. So B+.
Okay. Pay, how would you grade the Bears?
That's an interesting question. You know, the Bears were a 3-time defending offseason champions coming into this offseason.
Yes, they were.
Now, this offseason, they, after an actually good season, different expectations. You try to build on that for the Bears. I don't know. Did they actually build on that success this offseason? Kind of, you know, it's a who's who. You ask 10 different people, you get 10 different answers, right? You had the retirement of Drew Dahlman. You had this draft where there are some interesting draft picks they had in the first 2 days, and then you had some reaches in day 3. Free agency, you lost more than you actually gained. So it's wait and see approach. For me, I'm gonna just go ahead and give it a C. In fact, I'm going to actually be a little more harsh. I'm gonna give it a C-. Don't bring that report card home to dad. Gonna get the belt.
Biggs is telling us that you stole his first round draft pick. Now, for the Vikings, I give them an incomplete. Our offseason's still going. Why? Because we're in the middle of a GM search. Why? Because they waited till Kwesi Adofo-Mensah was heading home from the Reese's, no longer Reese's, Senior Bowl, and they fired him. Now, we did find out today that they are interviewing Terrence Gray, assistant GM of the Bills, or they've requested permission to interview him. I doubt it can be denied because it's a vertical move and not a lateral move. Let's see how that goes. Was with the Vikings for 11 years under Rick Spielman, and then he left the Vikings in, I think, 2017, 18, something like that, and he went to the Bills, and there he's been under Bean, who's one of the better GMs in the league. So we'll see how that interview goes and how the Vikings end up divvying up power, because it always used to be the GM was the last say. What the GM wanted, the GM got. Well, that didn't happen under Kwesi. Kwesi wanted Harbaugh as a coach, and he got again and said, no, you're not getting him. And so we'll see how this goes. And if they decide to put somebody over the new GM, like president of football or whatever title they want to give him, just like in Atlanta, I suspect Rob Brzezinski will get that president of football title or whatever it is, and the new GM will report to him. But we will find out because the process is just getting underway. The Wilfs hired a New Jersey firm called Turnkey ZRG, I think it is. And they live in the space of sports executives and stuff like that. They find people for college GM jobs and stuff. They're also now doing it in the NFL. They're supposedly heavy into AI. Let's see how that works out. But they're going to find and vet candidates. And then they'll go up in front of the decision committee of the Vikings, which includes the Wilfs. And we'll see how it goes. But I suspect we'll have a GM within the next couple weeks. 2 or 3 weeks at the latest. But that's why I give us an incomplete. Otherwise, I'd give us C+, maybe. We got under our cap, which we needed to. And with the draft, we focused on the O-line, which is also bonus points for me.
Was your most notable move the trading of Grenard?
The offseason move, it's acquiring the wee widow one.
Yes, that's right. Okay. That's sad that I knew what you were saying. That it came together when you said that.
Well, that's my nickname for him, the wee widow one. And that came from my co-host on 2O Bloggers, Darren. Darren Campbell called him the wee little one, and it's stuck with me. Fits perfect.
That's terrible. They have said there's going to be a quarterback battle.
There is going to be a competition, correct?
Theoretically. So you expect us to have both of them in-house throughout the entire offseason?
Well, they're already in-house. Yes.
Yeah.
They're both there.
That's good.
They're both there working.
Good.
Along with Carson Wentz. He's there, and
he can stay home.
But yes, they're both there. I just read a story yesterday about somebody coming in to work out at the facility at 4:30 in the morning, and Kyler Murray was already there, no music, no nothing, just focusing on working out and sweating. J.J. McCarthy is busy working, and he's getting ready as well. Now, do I think J.J. McCarthy, they say there's a competition. Do I believe there's a competition? No, not to start off with. Kyler Murray's going to get the starts at 1. I don't think they're going to split it 50-50. But we'll see. They might. And let's see how big a step J.J. McCarthy is taking this year. There are a bunch of people in my fan base that thought he was absolutely dog shit last year. And there's a lot of stats that could go towards that.
A lot of games, too.
But he was also 6-4.
That's true.
But it's a team game. And our defense helped. We won a game where the offense only had 3 positive yards the whole game.
And you won?
And we won. But it is what it is. It's going to be an interesting offseason. It's going to be an interesting once we really get to training camp and they start hitting and popping. Finally, and there'll only be, a handful of days of that. But it's going to be interesting. And I'm curious if KOC is going to put everybody in bubble wrap for the preseason, especially when you've got a brand new quarterback that happens to be an experienced vet, but he's suffered injuries over the years. You have J.J. McCarthy, who obviously needs more time playing, and he's been injured over the years. Then you got Carson Wentz, who has injuries over the years.
I think he's injured now.
He's just happy he's getting paid in the league. What now? Going on his 11th season, and he's still there. So, and I, tip my hat to all the players that make it over 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
That's something, whether they're good or bad. If they make it that long, that's great.
It's something if you're that one. Sure.
You're either a very good teammate or you're very good at grifting.
Yeah. Foster has one. Plays edge. Marcus Devin.
I thought you were talking about Teddy Bridgewater.
Teddy, I love Teddy.
Very good teammate.
Teddy's rock solid. Teddy, unfortunately, his career basically ended when his knee blew up.
Exploded. Blew up is a kind word.
But, and it's a miracle he made it back as far as he did and became a good backup because.
A miracle he can walk.
Yeah. He had the type of injury that he could have lost his life or limb.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really bad injury.
Oh.
All type of blood vessels was ruptured.
It was
tough.
I would have called it
a dislocated knee. Mm-hmm.
No. Joe Theismann didn't have that type of injury.
No, Joe Theismann just had his leg broken gruesomely, but it wasn't a dislocated knee.
Mm-hmm. Dave, who do you want? Not a podcaster. As a fan of the Vikings, who do you want to win that quarterback job?
I like J.J. McCarthy. I don't think he's going to do it, though, and it's going to be Kyler Murray. I want the best player to win. I want the Vikings to win. I want us to win a Super Bowl before I die. Getting closer to dying part is, coming day by day versus all those years behind me. I remember watching 3 of the 4 Super Bowls as a kid.
You started off the answer by saying, I like J.J. McCarthy. Then you said,
I want J.J. McCarthy.
Talking
I
about
hope he
that.
succeeds.
You said, I'm getting closer to the end. I want to see us win. Like, it sounds like if J.J. McCarthy plays, you're going to get to that end a lot sooner.
But Big says Marcus Davenport is sounding like he's heading towards the Bears.
Good player. I don't know from vision.
Yeah, no one's seen it.
Now, for the Packers, what would you give them in their offseason grade?
Okay, so they didn't do anything at the draft. So it's he's starting at an immediate F right then and there.
They've got a new offensive coordinator.
They did hire some new coaches. That's a wait and see. So I can at least, that doesn't bring their grade up. I mean, you have to hire coaches. Anybody can hire a coach, right? Whether or not they're good or not, that's a wait to see. And the free agency, I'm trying to remember, what was that big move they had in free agency?
And it's Javon Hargrave.
Mm-hmm.
With offsetting language. So all the money we owed him is now being paid by the Packers. Yes.
Sounds like a failing grade to me, Dave.
Round pick.
No first round. Well, they did get somebody decent for it. Now he messed up his knee, but.
Mm-hmm.
That was last year's offseason.
Yeah, it's crazy, interest, right? It's crazy how that interest on those credit cards is just compound over time.
Mm-hmm. It is. Now, one of you suggested looking at the schedule. And of course, the schedule releases next week.
Next week,
I believe. Time between May 11th and May 14th. I haven't seen it locked down any further than that. And I don't know why the NFL is being so wishy-washy about the dates.
Content.
Well, that's part of it. You know that. But I'm wondering if they're trying to deconflict the last couple games or whatever. Or set up the last broadcast exclusive. Get that extra $10 billion. Yes, Brian. Packers' hope is all Micah Parsons. So, I have my opponents sitting in front of me, but I do not have yours other than the NFC North. You're going to have to help me out if you wanted.
Let me see.
I can tell you we've got 3 games with minus 40-degree temperature potential. And that matters with we would have won as our starter.
I got mine.
All right. So, yeah, I got the schedule for the Bears. What were we asking, Dave? Or what do we hope how the schedule lays out for us?
Or how you finish it. I joked around and said 17-0, but yeah. If you're looking, all right, I'll start off. The Vikings' home games are against the division, the Atlanta Falcons, the Carolina Panthers, the Buffalo Bills, the Miami Dolphins, the Washington Commanders, the Indianapolis Colts, away games, the division, the New Orleans Saints, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, New England Patriots, the New York Jets, and San Francisco. So with mine, we figure we haven't had an ice-cold game in Green Bay to end the season in a few years. That's bound to happen again. So we'll have a late season, either week 17 or week 18 game against Green Bay in Green Bay. Go figure. Probably for the division. However, I hope not. We'll have, if I like to work my way backwards, week 17, probably against the Bears. Should be at home because I doubt they'll go back-to-back away games at the end of the season. And then we'll have an away game against the Lions the week before that. You figure that. Now, when it comes to playing against the Falcons in our house, I think that's a win. Carolina, our house, that's going to be a win. Bills, our house, that one may be iffy. Dolphins, our house, should be a win. Commanders, which is going to be interesting because everybody says, yeah, but they didn't have their quarterback last year. He was injured. Well, they had him the year before, and we spanked them in their house. But, like I said, that one's going to be interesting. I suspect we'll pull out the win. The Colts, because of Daniel Jones, I suspect maybe a loss. Then the away games, I figure the Saints, they're going to be scrappy. It's the only way I can describe them. The Bucks, that's another relatively scrappy team. New England, they're going to regress. The Jets, I want to say cakewalk, but I can't. So you don't want to jinx yourself, but they should be horrible. And the Niners on the road is going to be
the Jets, huh?
Like purple tears since 61. No, Dave, we don't want a week 18 game against an opponent that hasn't mattered since week 14.
So the Bears, our home games are obviously the division. We have the welcoming back that same Buccaneers that you mentioned, Dave. Old NFC Central guy. You got the Philadelphia Eagles, Jacksonville Jaguars, those same Jets, the Patriots, and the Saints at the crib. We will be on the road to play the Buffalo Bills, the Atlanta Falcons, the Miami Dolphins, Carolina Panthers, and the Seattle Seahawks. Dave, I hope the Bears open the season Thursday Night Football against the defending champions. Boom, I said
it. That would be something. That's a team I think that's actually gotten better in this offseason.
That's right. Let's start it with a bang. You know what? Let's just rip the cellophane off this thing and
rip the scabs. Speed up that callousing.
That's right. Let's announce it to everybody right here, right now, right there on Thursday Night Football for the world to see. Defending champs against the next champs. Let's go.
Okay, Foster.
So home games, we got the division, and then we got New Orleans, Tampa, which is always a tough game. We got the defending champs, New England, the Jets, Tennessee, and the G-Men. That's at home. On the road, we got the division, and then we got Atlanta, Buffalo, Carolina, Miami, and Arizona.
Well, Miami and Arizona should be relatively easy.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was treacherous last year with that first round schedule. The predictions are only as good as what you project the teams, to be, because we don't know. Maybe Miami is going to be. No, they're going to be terrible. Carolina's a playoff team. I'll give them that. But yeah, the tougher games are definitely at home, which is good. And then we still got Tennessee and New York. New York might be all right though.
Question for you guys: which number is lower? The amount of wins the Jets have against the NFC North this season, or the amount of interceptions they get?
Which is lower? The amount of wins they have against the North. I think they'll pick up their first interception this year.
I don't know, Dave. I don't know. I'm going to go to Kalshi right now.
The hard games are the ones where everyone's healthy. Yes, the NFL is relatively full of parity. And you've got a bunch of good players at the starting level across the board. And if a team is healthy, they're hard to beat.
Yeah, there's a lot of good players sprinkled across the league, except not in Miami, though.
Bit of all of.
Yes.
Where'd Tua go? Atlanta?
Browns. There's always certain clubs that can't seem to get it together.
Like the Falcons.
Yeah, there's another one. And they can't rely on Kirk Cousins anymore.
No, they got to rely on Tua.
Oh, wow. Anyways, and As we all know, the Packers, they have playing the same teams we are, except for two different ones. And I don't remember who they are, nor do I really care.
No matter.
But what I look forward to when the schedule comes out is finding when we play in prime time and who's got the holiday games. Foster, we know, is going to be playing at noon on Thanksgiving. It's tradition.
Mm-hmm.
Well, gentlemen, is there anything else you'd like to bring up on this lazy Wednesday before everything kicks off in earnest with mini camps and the schedule release? Hopefully a Vikings new GM. All that sort of stuff. Okay.
I do hope that this quarterback, I don't know if it's fair to call it a battle. So I do think there's the politics with it. And I think the we win, as you call him, I think he will win this job. We will. But I don't think he should, though. I think the politics just swing back in JJ's favor. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I can't wait to see how that plays out.
I hope JJ plays better than he does and wins it. That's what I'm hoping for. But we'll see. JJ's young, and he obviously made some mistakes, and he has possible attitude of applying himself issues.
Leave 9 at home.
Yes, that too. But we'll find out. We will find out. Where can they find you, Pay?
Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Channel, available at anywhere you get your podcast and also on YouTube. Everything that you see and hear is available on YouTube all week long. Check us out there.
And there it is. What have you got coming up, though? What are you talking?
Well, baseball. We have NBA Mondays and baseball Thursdays over the Frustrated Chicago Sports Fan Channel, with football sprinkled in periodically or throughout the week, depending on what was breaking. As we talked about, next week, another banner week for the NFL. We got schedule release to talk, so that's going to be a hubbubaloo on the channel. All hands on deck. We're getting all our opinions out on that. So we're trying to. I remember last year we said, "Oh yeah, the Bears, they did just have a 5-win season, but they should make the playoffs this year. Let's see if we can do that again. Let's try to push them, nudge them into the Super Bowl this time."
Okay. Hey, and I heard the White Sox are angling for a new stadium as well.
Yes, they want some of that leftover money that does not exist. Beat it, Jerry.
Okay.
I thought they just got one.
Well, New Comiskey opened in
Comiskey,
92, I
right?
believe.
Oh, so it was a different name.
So there's old Comiskey that closed in like 90, 91 around that time. New Comiskey, they changed the name to Primeco. Was it Primeco or was it U.S. Sailor? Right. It was one of them defunct cell phone companies. They changed the U.S. Sailor. Now it's guaranteed rate. But it's still there.
Okay. Now, Foster, where can they find you?
Bleachers and Speakers at everything: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, of course. As far as what we have coming up, we got Pistons coverage. As you can see, we got the Pistons are in the playoffs. They got Game 2 tomorrow in Detroit. We got Tigers coverage, the MASH unit that team is. We cover them every Sunday, and yeah. We'll be back on Wednesday. I'm hosting, and we'll be talking about the schedule.
We just got a thumbs down. I could ask our Packers contributor where we can find him, but we don't have him or her for that matter, because none of them have the cojones to join FFSN and join the show. And it's their loss. So I know the last time we had him, he had a hard time with technology and some other things, but it is what it is. For us, Vikings First and Skol, you can find us right here. You're watching it right now. You're listening to it on our podcast. And so you're easy. Next week, who's covering? Foster, you got it next week?
Yes, sir.
And I'm sure we'll be talking about the schedule release, hopefully. All right, with that, what do we say in Chicago?
Bear down.
What do we say in Detroit, Foster? One pride. And of course, in Minnesota, we say Skull Vikings. Everybody, thanks for watching. Thanks for joining us. Well, gotta go Pistons, not a Cleveland fan. Like, subscribe, and rate us on your favorite podcast aggregator. Thank you for listening to this NFC North group effort on the Fans First Sports Network. This has been a frustrated Chicago sports fans, bleachers to speakers, Vikings first and Skull, and of course, Fans First Sports Network production. Thank you for listening.